Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I'll be checking out a track from an act named Deprivacy titled Beneath. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. We're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. What do we got? Okay, there's a clarity of the guitar tone I'm quite liking. I'm enjoying the pace of it along with that slow build to start. Okay, there's a nice sort of tightness to the guitar tone as well there. Those sub layers of the leads in the background are interesting, and the drums are nice and punchy. Vocal fry is compelling. Yeah, no, those clean vocals as well, they're nice and charming as well. They're a nice contrast with it. Like, the growlies are fine, don't get me wrong, but it's also quite nice to have a little bit of adjustment there just to add a bit of bit more color to the mix, especially when we've got those down-tuned power chords. Yeah, no, there's a nice contrast between the clean vocals and the rougher ones as well, and there's a bit more width in this chorus, which I'm appreciating there, a little bit more sort of space. I feel you breaking me. We got some fourth harmonies or something like that going on with those vocals there. Kind of giving me a Blind Spot-esque kind of vibe there. I'm enjoying this extended interlude and the sections between these floaty sort of mid-range parts with the clean sort of the jaded clean vocals and then the growlies with the double kicks. I think they're a nice nice contrast. There's like 3 or 4 different vocal layers in that clean part there. I like the amount of work put into that. Clearly there's some detail put into making this nice and sort of memorable. No, I mean, like, it's a really sort of well done track. I've got no real complaints about it at this point. Because this is effectively my conclusion of this review of Beneath by Deprivacy. Like, what do I think it's about? I think it's about someone sort of paying attention and being introspective, looking into themselves, seeing sort of the depression and negativity there, the festering that's going on there, the self sort of like immolation underneath the surface, and trying to sort of understand themselves, whether there's a person inside of that can be saved from the hell that they're in, you know, that they're burning in. And in that respect, I think that it's a fairly well-told story, if I'm not too far off the mark. I don't really... I think that it's a story that I've heard a few times before, but I like the way it's told within this track here, and I think that this is a positive step forward for what Deprivacy are doing at this point in time. Because I've listened to NA, their previous single. This is a great step in the right direction. It's really cool. The vocals behind it, the combination of the cleans sometimes and the sort of the rougher kind of vocal fry growly parts later on with the screams, they're fantastic. There's enough range texturally and in terms of the coloration to keep the listener interested throughout. See, there's no risks there or anything like that. I think that the melodies that we chose here are compelling and engaging, and it does sound like we're emoting in a way that is appropriate for the music that we're hearing and listening to, so that's obviously positive. It's a tricky thing, man. Again, like, it's very similar to a lot of the rock, like the metal that I hear from within the genre. That's not a complaint. The production quality is professional. I like how things have been produced and put forward. It's just tricky because these days with this kind of music, you really need a unique voice. Or I don't know how the hell you do it, even if you're in a band or even alone. Like, I think that we did a great job with the vocals. I don't have any complaints about it. We put things in all the right places as I needed to. The structure of it was great. I think it was nice to have the verse chorus kind of vibe there with some sort of semi-instrumental sections there with the interludes later on, sort of going between A, B, or CD structure. I think that was a smart move there. Kind of varying those things up, going between lighter and heavy parts there. Texturally, tonally, in regards to the chord progressions, we had lots of range there, a bit of freneticism and lots of energy with those drop tune power chords and such. You know, the tone of the guitars was great, you know, really sort of tight riffage there with the interesting amount of variety on the drums with those quarter, 8th and 16th note grooves, switching between like half time and then like normal and the verses and such. You know, the bass was nicely polished as well. I couldn't hear a lot of it, but that just means it was probably supporting the root notes and all that, so that was absolutely fine. It would have been cool to maybe have heard some different layers of different instruments. I think maybe you could have potentially had some more synths or some like pianos or something like that in there, just to kind of spice it up and add a bit of extra sort of like dimensionality to it. It's not like I think it needed that in order to be sort of better. I think the track was fine on its own, but it's sort of like when I do compare it to a lot of other tracks within the genre that I've listened to, there's now almost an expectation that you will add electronic elements into it, sort of add a bit more a bit more zazz to it. And just because a lot of bands within the genre are already doing that kind of guitar, rock, drum, and bass stuff. And I'm not saying that you need to succeed. It's a nice sort of contrasting device to have a completely different sort of like texture or tone there. When we've already had a lot of the guitar, bass, and drums, no matter how we voice it in the mid, high, or low ranges. It's fine though. You know, I hear we had dynamic range and there was changes in perceived loudness throughout the performance, so that was obviously good. We worked well within our sort of key signatures and scales. We clearly had an understanding of music theory and composition, which served us well. I do think it's a positive growth from what we had before. The music before was fine from Deprivacy, but this is very, very, very good. It would have been nice to maybe have had like a lead section or something like that, a dedicated lead system, just to have like a switch up from the vocals there. I understand that's not everyone's sort of stylistic taste. It doesn't need to be like a flashy kind of like sweep solo or something like that, but just something there. Maybe had like an additional sort of like lead layer or something to that outro chorus, just to add a bit of extra oomph to it to kind of sort of sing us out. And that's basically it. It's just I would be needing more sort of like layer wise from this in order to really sort of like segment and continue to progress it further towards it. It's just subjective. I suppose I'm being a little bit pedantic, but I also really care about this music. I mean, this Deprivacy is a Kiwi act, and I care about my local musicians. You know, I work with musicians from all around the world, but I'm particularly passionate about New Zealand music, even if I don't always show it. It's great that we continue to produce high quality music, especially within the genre of metal. I'm really happy about that. The production and recording, mixing and mastering is exactly where it needs to be. The quality of the recordings was great. The vocals had nice clarity to them. The guitars, bass, and drums are fine. I don't know whether the guitars were programmed or recorded, but either way it's good. I did hear a little bit of fluidity there, so we could have even been using an electric kit, I'm not sure. I did like the way that we worked all the different layers and instruments in. There were some lead parts that were a little bit too quiet for my taste in regards to the sub layers, especially in that verse when we like getting close to the chorus half of it. But aside from that, everything else was fine. It was nice and wide, plenty of stereo width, nice and wide in the headphones. There were no sort of weird resonances in the frequency spectrum there. Nice and tight with the glowing and leveling. You know, things were filtered and you had some elements jump out before others, but in a positive way for the most part. And it was nice and loud without pumping. I mean, all in all, this is effectively my review of this track by Deprivacy titled Beneath. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Deprivacy some love via their various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool, stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.